Yeah, g'day YouTubers, Tinker O'Toole. Today we're going to do a test on chains. We're going to cut exactly the same log. We've got a log, it's about 1 foot in diameter. It's about 4 foot long, and we're only going to cut slithers off it about, I don't know, about 1 inch. And we're going to try 5 different chains. We're going to try a Stihl semi-chisel. I've actually put a hexagonal profile in it, so a semi-chisel with a hexa grind in it. That's going to be interesting. A Stihl standard full chisel, a Stihl Hexa, a hurricane chain in full chisel. I'm going to put a hexa grind in that, so it's going to be like a copy. And the last one is just your standard Stihl semi-chisel. So we've got semi-chisel, full chisel, hexa. That's what we're going. Excuse me. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to do 2 or 3 cuts of each one. Use a stopwatch and find out which one wins the race. I'm expecting hexa to do the best, but I've never done a comparison of 5 chains, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so what we've got is a nice couple of rounds over here. Let's see whether you can see those. And we're going to use they're about 4 foot long, so what we're going to do is we've got a few chains here, and I've got semi-chisel, full chisel, hexa, and hexa ground on my grinding wheel, which doesn't have the narrow curve. So it's going to be interesting which one wins, if there's much different in it, and it'll probably sway me in the future as far as what I'm going to use. But I'm swaying towards hexa. But I want to see the difference between standard full chisel, which is the Stihl chain there. So that's standard full chisel, and that's the hexa. Then I'll look at my grinds, the ones that I've done, just to compare them, and because I can get the chains on a 100-foot roll half as cheap as hexa. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. So let's have a look at that. Okay, so this next one is a semi-chisel chain, and just for fun, I put a hexa profile in it. So I don't know, I just thought I'd do it for fun. By the way, all these chains are standard 3/8. We're using an MS 311 for the test. The performance will obviously be less time on a bigger saw, like if you had an MS a 500i or a 066 or something more powerful, you'd reduce it a little bit. But anyway, it'll be just interesting to see how this performs. That felt a little bit slower, but I guess we'll see. Yeah, this one here is full chisel, brand new Stihl chain. That seemed to go okay as well. Well, this one's the Stihl Hexa, brand new. So I'm hoping this gives a better result. Let's find out. Well, it certainly seemed to perform okay, so I guess the times are going to judge that one. Hexa grind, but obviously the kerf is the same. Hexa kerf, the width of the tooth is 4.1 millimeter at the widest at the front, right at the tip, and on the standard chain is 4.5 millimeters. So obviously Hexa has about a 10% reduction in kerf. This is a standard full chisel chain with a Hexa profile, so let's see how this performs. Well, it seemed to cut all right, but I guess time will tell, so we'll check this one out. Well, that was semi-chisel, and that actually seemed to go quite well. Okay, so we've done all the testing. You would have seen on the screen that the one that came out in front was the Stihl Hexa. And the Stihl Hexa came in at 6.7 seconds. That's pretty good. So the first chain that we did was the semi-chisel with a Hexa grind. That came in 8.4 seconds. The full chisel came in at 7.5 seconds. And as we just mentioned, the Stihl Hexa was 6.7. That was the third one. The fourth one, we had Hurricane full chisel. We put a hexagonal profile in it. That came in at 7.4 seconds, pretty much the same as a full chisel. Not much in that. The last one was just a semi-chisel, and that came in at 8.7 seconds. Now, if you just tally that all up, Hexa was obviously the clear winner at 6.7. Full chisel in the Stihl was 12% slower than the Hexa, and the semi-chisel was 30% slower. Because if you look at the figures, the standard semi-chisel chain comes in at 8.7 seconds, and the Stihl Hexa comes in at 6.7. That is a huge amount. Now, don't go rush out and go buy your Hexa because, hey, look, just say you're cutting up 200-300 cuts and you're only saving a second or two here and there. 600 seconds, 10 minutes. So, what's 10 minutes if you're doing a couple hours work? Anyway, it just proves the point that semi-chisel is the slowest, which we already sort of knew that. Full chisel, always said that it was 10% faster, so I'm showing a little bit more than 10% on that. And Hexa is, 6.7 seconds to 8.4. Nearly, almost, not quite 2 second gain on that. That's not a bad effort. So Hexa is definitely the way to go. Full chisel's your next, and semi-chisel is the other one. Look, if you're only chopping up a little bit of wood here and there, and you're only spending an hour or so outside chopping wood or going into the forest or wherever you go to chop wood, I wouldn't sort of be worried about those figures too much if you're only collecting a bit of firewood. But certainly, if Hexa certainly cut up to 30% faster, that is a huge advantage if you're cutting hundreds of cuts a day. think about getting Hexa if you're cutting hundreds of cuts. But if you're only cutting 30, 40 cuts to collect a bit of firewood, really doesn't matter. You're not going to rush out and buy Hexa just for that. I'd done a trial once before and Hexa came out in front, but I didn't try all those chains. So the Hexa, the one that I'm doing, my Hexa copy, that's not doing anything fantastic. So I think that the narrow kerf on the Hexa is certainly doing a good job, because it's 4.1 millimeters and the standard full chisel is 4.5. So that's a reduction of about 10% kerf. And as claimed by Stihl, it is certainly faster and it's got a worldwide patent on it. So thumbs up for me as far as Hexa is concerned. It's a clear winner. And not by just a little tiny bit, by quite a fair bit. So yeah, definitely a thumbs up.